Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Wardy with Traditional Cooking School, home of the Eat God's Way cooking program. And today I'm joined by Tracy J. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Wordy.
I'm so glad you could join us today, Tracy. And I'm so excited to share your journey with our community because you've had a wonderful one. You first caught my attention when you sent in, I guess it was just a survey questionnaire I sent about how the class went for you. You took our sourdough class and you just had win after win after win. And it was so amazing to read your journey, ups and downs too. So then I was like, let's hop on a call and talk about it just because sourdough can be intimidating for people, but it's something people are so interested in. And I just know that your journey is going to inspire and encourage a lot of people. So thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for asking me. I'm honored.
I'm the one who's honored. Let's first start with you just sharing a little bit about you and your family and where you're coming from.
Been married for over 30 years. We have four grown kids. They're all out on their own, doing good. We farm, so very rural lifestyle. We really try to stay with things the way they were when the farm was homesteaded. We have animals that we grow for food. We have a big garden. Try to do as much as we can. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised on a farm, but my parents thought progress was being able to rely more on buying the processed food instead of having to make it for yourself and so on. So when I met my farmer and came into his world, it was a bit of a shock. Homemade bread, homemade butter. Oh, that was just
Ah. So
took
are you
a lot.
saying you grew up farming and he grew up farming and he was farming at the time you met him, but your
Mhm.
parents had gone in the direction of processed and prepared foods, and your husband's husband, at least, and presumably his family, had stuck with the
Mhm.
homemade farming lifestyle?
Exactly.
Okay. All
Yes.
right.
Exactly. So it was a big learning curve because I didn't know how to cook anything when we got married. He was very patient. He still is.
Oh.
So
And what's his name? Just so I have it in mind.
his name is Dan.
Dan. Okay, great. Well, you have,
Um,
sounds like a wonderful family.
Oh, we do. So fast forward 30 some years, I'm still struggling in the kitchen, doing okay with a lot of it, but still not there. And sourdough is actually something I've been wanting to do for
Mhm.
years and years. And I've tried a starter in the past and didn't work and tried this and that. Nothing was working. Gave up completely. And then my husband stumbled upon a post of yours on a social media site somebody had shared. And he said, "Oh, you should look into this." And I don't
Oh.
remember exactly what the post was, but it was something very intriguing.
Mhm.
And I started looking into your site. You offered a sourdough class. And I thought,
Uh-huh.
oh, I've got to look into this. So I found your resource on how to get a starter started, and that was in
Mhm.
December.
Mhm.
And I got one started first try. It worked.
Yay.
And I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. It was very shortly after that you said you were going to be offering a sourdough class starting in
Mhm.
January. And I
Mhm.
thought, okay, I got to look into this. And we hemmed and hawed and didn't know if I should be signing up for a membership in classes. And I thought, well, I could probably look online and find things. And then I thought, maybe not. Anyway, signed up, and oh my goodness, your information, your lessons were just so easy to follow along and so helpful. And I every week just kept learning more and more. And I thought, oh, this is money so well spent. This was good, very good.
I appreciate that.
And then boom, class is over and learned so many things and so many things I had no idea you could do with sourdough, like biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, those are the best biscuits we've ever had. And we really
Oh,
like
they are
biscuits.
good.
Crackers, whenever we make the crackers, they don't last, they're just gone right away.
Yeah.
Again, with the whole grains that I'm working with, haven't been using any all purpose. I think I've made one loaf
Mm.
with all purpose during this whole stretch. We just didn't like the taste of it as much. It rose nice and fluffy, but trying to get in with the whole grains at the same time, that's also been a big learning curve because everything I baked up until December has been with all purpose flour.
If you don't
Anyway,
mind, can we go back and talk about you and your starter? So you struggled with making a sourdough starter, gave up completely, then you got intrigued again. What made you want to give it another try?
oh, because we just like the taste of sourdough bread very much. That was the odd thing we would still buy from the bakery every once in a while was
Mhm.
a loaf of sourdough bread. But I'm
Mhm.
not even sure it was really real sourdough.
Chances are
And
it
it's
wasn't. I mean,
In
it could
hindsight,
be.
yeah.
It could be.
Well,
And
we thought it
then
tasted good at the time.
yeah, well, they do taste great, of course. And then it worked right away. So what do you think the difference was from the methods you tried before and this time that you tried in December to create your sourdough starter?
I really don't know. To be honest, I don't remember why they failed necessarily. They just failed in the past. I remember a lot of like pink growing on them and
Oh,
things
that's
like
not
that.
good.
No, no, not at all. And like I said, this one, first try, it just took off. It's
Great.
been humming along nicely. It just worked.
Great.
It's very strong. It's very good. It's very happy.
Very good. So you were saying that one of the great things that's come out about this is that you have confidence now with your sourdough starter. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Like I said, I couldn't even get one going before, and now it's there. It's just sitting on the counter most of the time. I've had a few times put it in the fridge for a week or so, but I generally keep it out, and it's just nice. I know it's going to work. If there's lots of starter built up, we have pancakes that morning. If I decide we need to make some bread or crackers or chocolate cake, anything, build up a little bit and get it started that night. And
Yeah.
next day we do the baking. It has not failed in any way. It works. I keep looking at it. It's sitting beside.
Yeah, I figured you can tell whenever I chat with people, they're glancing at something and it's either there's a cat or a dog or a child or a grandchild, but you're talking about the starter. So it seemed obvious you're talking about your starter. There we go. Oh, so proud of you, Tracey. I love the
It's
white towel on the clear glass jar. That looks very farmhouse. Nice look there.
We do farmhouse here for sure. Yeah, but the odd time I set it in the fridge, you will understand this. Nobody else would. I've never even said this to my family, but I almost felt like I was abandoning my child off in the wilds by setting it in the fridge all by itself in there in the cold. Keep it on the counter and tend to it every morning and every evening, and it's just
Good.
nice.
Very good. So you just settled into having confidence and an easy routine and just going with the ebbs and flows of it. If there's a lot of it, you make something. Do you find yourself baking every day or half the days? Or
Mm,
what would you say in terms of a percentage? How many days do you bake with sourdough?
2, 3 days a week, maybe. Most
Yeah,
days it's there and it gets its morning feeding and its evening feeding. And like I said, if it builds up, we'll make a batch of pancakes or something like that.
great.
And yeah,
Well, I think that's so refreshing. And I hope that everybody listening can see that if you've thought that sourdough is going to take over your life or be overwhelming or excessive, I think you can hear from Tracy's voice that it is just fit into this daily rhythm of just feed in the morning, feed at night. And every few days, there's enough to make something that gets gobbled up. It doesn't
oh
sound
yeah, for sure.
excessive or overwhelming or like it's taken over your life. It sounds like it's just become a real nice part of your life.
It has, and really that was something that I was very concerned about when I first started was I thought exactly I don't want it taking over my life, but at the same time, how do you keep it available? And I really didn't realize how easy it was going to be. It really is very easy. It's very convenient. It's just there ready.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. You mentioned something just a little bit ago about stopped using all purpose for whole grain flours, it sounds like. And that's not often an easy road for families adjusting taste, just learning how doughs behave and whatnot. I'm thinking you had some ups and downs with that process. Can you talk to us about that?
There's been ups and downs for sure. There's been more ups
Yeah.
than downs, but there've been a few
Well, that's good.
downs. First batch of cinnamon buns I made, not quite what everybody was expecting. But they still got eaten up. We've made a couple of really amazing chocolate cakes that
Mm.
really blew the socks off of everybody. Like, how could this be so good? That in itself has been quite an adjustment. I myself just love the taste of everything so much more. It's just fuller and it's richer.
Are you milling your
Yeah,
own flour?
yes.
That's probably part of the adjustment too, because fresh ground flours do taste better than whole grain that's been sitting on the store shelf. So I think that's part of the reason that you at least love the taste so much. It is incredible.
Oh, it is. It is. Actually, we bought a mill years and years and years ago. It's a great big wooden box with the stones inside, and it works wonderful. It really works well. but we just had it tucked away because we didn't really have a source for grains, and I didn't really know what to do with them because the odd time I'd make something that would turn out so heavy, and we didn't really like it that much. But
Mhm.
somehow in this process, I kind of feel like it's coming together a little bit.
Just appreciation and your skill level. What's coming together specifically?
Oh, the appreciation, definitely. I think the skill level, I'm not scared of whole wheat anymore. I'm
Mhm.
learning now there's the odd time it benefits a little if you sift it a little bit first too.
Yeah.
The health wise, though, that all by itself is enough to do the change, which was really most of the reason that we wanted to try with the whole grains is we found a source after years. There's a mill close by us and he doesn't have einkorn. Talked to him about that. He says he can't source that, but he has
Mhm.
an old red spring wheat that he has growers. He has spelt, he has kamut, he has fry. They're all organic. We wanted to get away from the glyphosate and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm. What health benefits have you noticed since making the switch, if you have?
I have noticed that if I eat grain products now, I don't get tired after. And I would have just a horrible crash in mid-afternoon if I had something like a sandwich at dinner or evenings. If I'd sit down after supper, I'd almost fall asleep most of the time. And that doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't, which
Mhm.
I find quite amazing. I have a son who's sensitive to gluten. He's never done well with it. And it took him a while to figure it out. And once he figured it out, he stopped eating anything with gluten and he's fine. And when he was home at Christmas time, I was just starting this journey. I hadn't started the course yet, but I was just starting to play around with the wheats. But I did find your soaked muffin recipe and I
Oh,
made that.
okay.
And he tried a couple of muffins and he said, "This is okay. I can eat this."
Wow.
And
Amazing.
I think next I had my starter going enough that I had discards. So I made pancakes and he had a
Mhm.
couple. I said, "I can eat this." And it was
Wow.
like, oh my goodness.
Praise the Lord.
Yes, yes. So he hasn't been back since for a visit, but as soon as he comes, I'm going to just slam him as much as he dares to
Now,
eat and
now you
see how he
make
does.
everything sourdough. Wait till he tries your
Everything will.
chocolate cake, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think he'll do well with that. That was a pretty big one in my books. Bigger
Yeah,
even than
that
my
is a
thing.
really big deal. That fatigue thing, we don't know what it is. If it's glyphosate, if it's blood sugar, if it's whatever is in all purpose flour. I don't know if you were buying fortified all purpose flour, but they have synthetic vitamins in them. So who knows what it was, but just the fact that you switched to sourdough, which reduces the glycemic index of
Mhm.
flour, whatever it is, but then you're doing whole wheat or possibly ancient grains with the fiber and they don't have synthetic things or it's not fortified. So it could be you don't have such a blood sugar reaction, but it's just amazing. I'm so happy for you. I think that's a really big deal.
It's definitely a big win.
Now, what about the flavor? Because you like the flavor of sour. That was one reason you want sourdough bread, wanted to make it. You
Mhm.
also like the flavor of whole grain now, at least since you got your local source and you're milling them, so they're very fresh. What has the rest of the family felt about the taste adjustment?
It's been a bit of an adjustment for everybody because everybody still has it in their mind that cinnamon buns are big and white and fluffy, and they're not
Yeah.
anymore. Things like that. So there's been the odd thing like that that's been sort of an adjustment for everybody. But overall, everybody's been pretty on board with it. There's the odd thing that they, I don't like the sour taste in this,
Yeah.
but I'm learning how to fix that also. And
Good, because there
but
are tricks.
yes, which I
Good.
didn't know before either, but most everything, everybody's saying, "Yep, this is good.
So
This
they're
is
not
good."
turning you
So,
down, even with the
no.
ups and the downs. They're still accepting the baked goods.
Yes, they've all been very, very, very good, very patient with me.
You said you have four grown children, so your son doesn't live nearby anymore. Do your other three live nearby? And then do you have grandchildren that you're feeding too?
No grandkids. My oldest son, he does live next province over. We're in Canada. We don't see him as often as we like. But between my next three, they're all quite close to home. A couple of them are a couple hours away, and one's very close. So most days we have at least one at the supper table with us. And sometimes on weekends we'll have five or six around the supper table.
That's so
So that's
great.
good. Yeah, it
Very
is.
good. We've talked about how you have confidence with your starter. You did one and it worked. It's working well. And you just got into this very good rhythm. Sounds like you've replaced most of your baking with sourdough, which means you're not buying from the store. You've had some health wins, your fatigue, your son not having the gluten sensitivity. What else comes to mind when you look back on the process of learning sourdough that was a win for you?
I think just the fact that you can do so much more. I always thought sourdough was only bread, only artisan loaves of bread, and it isn't. It's everything. Chocolate cake, for Pete's sake, who knew? And the
Pretty
the
cool.
muffins, just everything. The crackers, like not only the bread, but so many things you can do with it. And it doesn't always have to be a long process. Like I said, a lot of mornings we'll whip pancakes up, and it takes probably the same time or less than my other old pancake recipe, maybe
Right,
even less.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's discard. It's just ready. It's ready to
Yeah.
just add a couple things and fry up. Yeah. I feel like that was a big win for me when I learned it and from so many others is just realizing that it's not actually that hard. And in many cases, it's easier. And for those of us that are homebodies, if we can make it ourselves and not have to go to the store,
Oh, yeah, for
even if it
sure.
does take a little bit more time, which in most cases it doesn't. It's just such a relief to just make it yourself. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing all that, Tracy. So what's next for you? What are you
What's
learning now?
next? I did the fundamentals course, same time I did the sourdough. Well, I started it a little
That's
bit
right.
after, but I did that also. And now I've started the batch cooking course, but I just
Oh,
started it.
okay.
But I'm very excited for that one. I think that one's gonna work very well. And I also want to do the ancient grains so I can learn a little bit more about
Yes.
all these grains that I've been working with here these past months.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
neat. The
there's still a
different things
couple
you've
more.
mentioned, they fit so well together. I want you to finish what you're about to say, but I just want to explain to people listening. When Tracy mentions the fundamentals, that's our intro course to Eat God's Way that just covers all the basics of Eat God's Way cooking. And we dabble in sourdough plus other grain prep methods like soaking and sprouting. And we also do culturing of dairy and fruits and vegetables, and then foundation lessons on broth and fats and healthy protein. And so it's just kind of everything. So sourdough is one piece of that where Tracy went deep, but we also covered the foundation. And now you're going into batch cooking and soon into ancient grains. Okay, so just wanted to make sure to explain that little piece. So what were you going to say?
Oh, I was gonna say after I'm done batch cooking ancient grains, there's still a couple more courses I'd like to look at.
Good. We'll keep you busy for a while yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
The fundamentals course was wonderful. There was a lot of things in there that sort of knew, sort of been doing over the years, but still there was so much to learn. Your courses really are amazing.
Thank you.
You've got so much information all pulled together. The videos are such a big help. It's so nice to see the process, knead until sticky. What exactly does that mean? Or knead until it cleans the sides of the bowl. Once you're doing these things, you understand them. But if you're just learning it, you don't know what that is. And the videos
Yes.
are so helpful. And the print materials that go along with are so good. And I'm constantly referring back to both
Mhm.
to make sure I remember about how do you soak this one? How do you soak that one? What exactly should this dough look like? I could have never pulled this information together off of the internet like I
Mm.
originally thought I would.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Oh,
good.
that's so good to hear. My husband will be blessed when I share it with him too. It's funny you say that because I still have to look up things because it's been many years of just gathering information for Eats God's Way students like you. My brother just texted me, how do I cook quinoa in the Instant Pot? And I went to my quinoa Instant Pot recipe. I
There
found
you
the
go.
timing and how much salt and how much fat to add and what the grain to water ratio was. And I told him. And then I have to look at it still, but I saw a notification just come in with a picture. So his quinoa is done.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, we will always have to be learning and looking up stuff. I think that's the lesson here. That's a lesson here. Okay, well, that's great. I just want to reiterate again, what a blessing it's been to chat with you about your process. And I look forward, hopefully we can chat again when you make it a little bit further and see what else you've done. If you were going to think about who you would recommend Eat God's Way to, who would it be?
Oh my goodness. I really think anybody could benefit. People who are starting out, especially starting in their own kitchens, the fundamentals course. Oh, I wish I would have had that years ago. That was such an amazing course. Yeah, how to set up a pantry. What appliances do you actually need? And which
Mhm.
ones can you do without? And just touching a little bit on everything. That was such a good course. Such a good course.
Thank you, Tracey.
Even after the age I'm at and the years I've spent in the kitchen, married for 30 years, but I was cooking for myself for 10 years before that too. I learned a lot from that course. I think anybody could benefit. And obviously even somebody in my stage of life when I've been through raising the whole family, still there's so much to learn.
Yeah, right. We will never stop. That's so true.
I have to tell you, it was your soap muffin recipe that
Mm.
was the final thing that drew me in. You offered a video for that, a cook along. I don't know
Yes,
if you
yes.
remember that. I think that was in December.
Yeah, I
And
remember. It was
yeah,
a
I
workshop.
cooked
You came
along
to
with
the
you.
workshop.
Yeah, the muffins were so good. And it was just such a different concept. I'd never ever heard of soaking
Mm,
flour. I would
mhm,
always soak my kidney beans, but that was the only thing I've ever soaked.
mhm.
So that's when I thought, yeah, I got to give this a try.
Oh,
So
good. Oh, good. And it all started with your husband, Dan, who ran into some intriguing post on social media.
mhm.
We
Yeah.
never know where God is going to lead us, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Another thing I have to tell you is I've been telling my husband for years, we have to get back to cooking the way God intended for us to eat. Cook the food the way God meant it for us. More raw, more natural, not processed. And then when I found your site, Eat God's Way, I thought, ping, that's it.
Oh,
It just resonated perfectly.
good, good. I'm so happy to
Yeah.
hear it. Thank you so much, Tracey. It's been such a blessing to get your story and get to know you a little better. And I look forward to checking in with you down the road too.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it also.
Great. And for those of you listening and watching today, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've been encouraged by Tracey and her sourdough journey and more, actually, but just how she's built confidence and realized that sourdough is not overwhelming. And she and her family have just stopped buying things at the store and made so much more than they ever thought that was so delicious, and also the health benefits. So there's just so much in sourdough. So many benefits to be had, plus just the fulfillment of using this process that really God gave us. And if you'd like more information on our sourdough class or any of our other classes, just check out the information that's below with this video. You can also text or email, and we'll be happy to chat with you. Thanks, Tracey.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Bye bye.